Hello all and welcome, and I'm the MGTOW Philosopher. And in this video we have a role reversal of sorts with a man debating the nonsensical subject of the minimum wage being a good thing, and a woman supporting the logical, rational, reasonable position of being against it. Shocking as that might sound. And of course they're both politicians. So let's see what he has to say and then what she has to say, shall we?
Does either candidate support a minimum wage increase? Mr. Ossoff starts with you.
Yes, I do.
So, of course, he's a professional politician. He wants to be president of the United States, probably with this kind of nonsense, but he definitely wants to have a big-time career in politics, so he supports the minimum wage. Of course he does, because how could you not support the minimum wage if you're for poor people, if you're poor for everyone, you support the minimum wage. Of course he supports it. He has to support it. Anybody with a conscience must support the minimum wage, right?
The minimum wage should be a living wage.
What does that mean? What does that mean? The minimum wage should be a living wage. That doesn't mean anything. It's just the minimum wage should be a living wage, should be a living wage, should be a minimum wage. It's not an argument. Oh, it should be. Why should it be? Tell me why. Tell me why. He doesn't tell you why. He just says it should be. It should be because it should be. Well, that's akin to circular logic almost. It should be because it should be. It's not saying anything.
I think we can raise it indexed to the cost of living.
Yeah, inflation. It should match inflation. You should index it. And wait a second now. Doesn't the wage a person get, isn't that dictated by like their skills and their experience and their ability to do a job and how much productivity they bring to a job?
Because the cost of living varies widely in urban and rural areas.
Right, so if I'm working in a McDonald's in, say, San Francisco, where the living costs are crazy, I should be getting $80 an hour, right? To flip burgers. What is this guy talking about?
Different states across this country. I think that increase needs to be implemented at a pace that allows business owners to adapt their business plans so they're...
What do you mean, adapt their business? Have you ever run a business, pal? You can't adapt your business plan to pay an unbelievably high wage to low-skilled people who don't even produce enough to pay for the wage they're getting. You know, there's other costs in running a business, pal. There's not just labor. There's production costs. There's overhead. There's supplies that you have to get. There's the electricity. There's lots of franchising fees if you own a franchise. It's not just labor. The labor is at the very end. When you've paid off all your bills, you paid for all your supplies, everything you need to run your business. At the end, there's like a small little pot there, and whatever's left, that's what you use to pay the employees, and hopefully there's a little left over for you. And that's it. But it's not like there's some big pot of gold, okay? And they're holding back a whole bunch of money and not giving it to the employees. They're paying what they're able to based on what the person produces. And the person gets paid according to how much they can produce, not by some arbitrary number you decide, Mr. Central Planning Communist moron.
Not shocked. Their business plans are not shocked by a sudden increase in labor costs.
What are you talking about? What do you mean not shocked? They're not shocked because, we're going to give them time to adapt their business plans and then they'll be okay. It doesn't make any difference. You're still raising the cost. What does it matter with you not shocking them? What you just said makes no sense. It makes no sense. Oh, give them time to adapt. Well, what does that mean? You're going to give them 10 years? 2 years? A month? What does that mean exactly? I mean, isn't it the case that once you raise the minimum wage, you've raised it? At the time he's talking about, folks, is they'll have due warning. Oh, everybody will know maybe 3 months before, 6 months before that at this date, at X date, Y is going to happen, and Y being we're going to raise the wage. So, of course, that's going to give employers time to adapt their business plan, meaning fire people so that they can pay other people who are more important to their jobs. So people will essentially lose jobs.
But look, if someone's working a 40-hour work week, they deserve the kind of standard of living that...
Okay, so this guy is like a Bernie Sanders wannabe. No, they don't deserve a standard of living. They're working a 40-hour work week. They automatically deserve They work a 40-hour work week, so they deserve what a 40-hour work week should bring. That's not an argument. So this is just non-logic. So he's not even giving you an argument, okay? He's just saying they deserve it because they deserve it. They deserve it because they work 40 hours a week. They work 40 hours a week, so they deserve it. So circular logic 101, that's what he's giving you right there. They work 40 hours, so they deserve it. No, they don't deserve it, pal. Not if they're not producing enough to pay for that exorbitant wage you want to give them. You know, if you're flipping burgers and you expect to make $15 an hour, I have some news for you. The owner of that store is going to hire a robot to do it, okay? The automation that you don't want to come sooner will come sooner with this minimum wage nonsense.
That Americans expect. That's part of the American dream, and they're
American dream. No, you get what you earn. That's the American dream, okay? If you don't have enough human capital to make that wage, you shouldn't have it mandated that it must be given to a person even though they didn't earn that amount of money. You know, there's a certain thing, it's called human capital, okay? And production. So you produce a certain amount of value for your boss, okay? He can't give you more than the value you're producing. And you may not believe this, pal, but some people don't produce $15 an hour worth of labor. Some people don't produce $5 an hour worth of labor, you idiot.
too many folks who are having trouble making ends meet.
Oh, boo-hoo. So, you know, essentially he just wants to get a lot of poor voters. I get you. Poor, dumb voters who don't understand that this will actually cost them jobs. It won't create jobs. It will lose jobs.
This is an example of the fundamental difference between a liberal and a conservative. I do not support a livable wage. What I support is making sure that we have an economy that is robust with low taxes and less regulation so that those small businesses that would be dramatically hurt if you impose higher minimum wages on them are able to do what they do best.
Oh my God. She's a woman and she's making sense. I never thought I would see it. So she's right, of course. If you impose higher wages on businesses, whether they be big businesses or small businesses, the only thing that's going to happen is they're going to lay people off, essentially. They're going to employ even less people full-time so that they can save on insurance costs and such and other things they are required to supply to full-time employees to cut costs. And they'll do everything they can do to cut costs. So all you're really going to do is A, lose jobs, and B, for the jobs that remain, the quality of those jobs will decrease as well. And they might even cut the hours of those people. And you're reducing productivity, so you're making a business less able to do a good job, provide a good service. So you're hurting the entire economy doing this by making businesses less able to provide goods and services and by essentially destroying jobs by making the wages so high that employers cannot afford to pay low-skill people because those people don't produce enough labor value-wise to justify the cost. I can't pay you more than what I'm getting from you in labor. Duh! This is Economics 101. But clearly the turkey neck dude beside her doesn't get it.
Grow jobs and create good paying jobs for the people in the 6th District.
Does either candidate...
So, to recap, the woman actually understands how economics work. You can't pay people more than they're worth just because you want to give them some quote-unquote livable wage. You cannot dictate what the free market value of labor is. The value of labor in the free market is decided by how much people are willing to pay for it. Okay? It's decided by that. And if what you're doing isn't paying for your own salary, you cannot expect the boss to give you that extra money. Where does that come from? Well, it's going to have to come out of his own pocket. And then he's going to be making less. If he's a small business owner, even if he's a large business owner, even if he's not something like a franchise owner, even if he's a big rich guy, even if you're talking about a big corporation that might have people making a minimum wage, and supposedly there's some big company with these huge profits, and they're not sharing these profits with the employee. What people might not realize is big global corporations, international corporations, large corporations do not make the kind of profits you think. 2-3% if they're lucky. I mean, and you might think, oh, well, that's a lot of money. Yeah, not necessarily. For example, I mean, yeah, it's not as much as you might think. I mean, you might say, oh, they made billions in profit. Yeah, right, okay. And they need that billions in profit, okay? They need to expand and create more jobs. We're talking about more jobs. And by the way, the minimum wage, it hurts the low-wage, low-skill worker in more ways than just eliminating low-wage jobs. It makes him less able to compete, because the low-wage worker, the one thing that he has that he can use to compete with someone who's making more money is the fact that he will do it for less. He can go and say, okay, I'll do this job for $2.50 an hour. You're going to pay him the minimum wage of $7 an hour? I'll do it for $3 an hour. Oh, okay, well then I might actually pay you that, and we'll see how you do. And then as he does the job, he gains experience, work experience, human capital, he learns a skill. Gains more knowledge, becomes more productive, then his time becomes more valuable, and hence he can earn a greater wage in the future. But if you take that away from him, that tool to underbid others, then you make it impossible for that guy with zero skills and just ambition and the ability to work hard to ever get a job. So all this bleeding heart liberal nonsense that the turkey neck geek here on the left here, well, everything he's spewing is just total BS. He's just your typical establishment politician who wants to spread cultural Marxism. And the woman, for once, is actually speaking sense, which is unbelievable to me. It's shocking. It's refreshing. It's nice. I'm happy, but it's just shocking to me. I am the MGTOW philosopher, and I wish you a good day. Take care.